What's up, everybody? This is Kurt Dimer, and you're watching Aftershocks TV. Peace and love.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's get into our discussion here. One of our main discussions of the show, pretty much the main discussion, I should say. So there was recently some news that came out about hair metal band Slaughter. You a fan of Slaughter at all?
Yeah, I do. I like him. I like him a lot, actually.
Okay. Oh, you like him a lot. Okay.
I do.
Yeah, I won't lie. That was probably one of the last hair metal bands, and I wouldn't even say I like them. I liked the two hit songs they had, but I thought to stick it to the album. I remember buying it as I think I just graduated 8th grade or something, and what do you call it was on MTV Up All Night and stuff. And I remember
That's right.
My brother and friends were like, "Do you like this crap, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I still like this shit.
Yeah.
Or I do." But I like that and Fly the Angels. But I thought that album, I never really listened to it. I thought it stunk. So I liked the two songs, those two hits. I didn't like anything else they did. But so Slaughter, I mean, because this was a band that came out. Really, this was one of those last glam metal bands that hit it kind of big. You had them and like Warrant. Saigon Kick or whatever, and that was pretty much over after that. There wasn't much because about '89, I think these guys came out. So anyway, Slaughter, they're bassists, Dana Strum. Now Dana Strum, it's funny because I read a lot of these books, history books of LA metal and all this stuff, and he was a pretty prominent figure in the LA metal scene. Not so much as a musician, he was sort of like I don't know exactly what he did. I don't know if he was a promoter or he was a big player though in terms of behind the scenes. He was like kind of like a Bob Nalbania guy. He hooked people up with each other.
Yeah, that's right.
And then,
He's a connector. He was a connector guy. That's right. He was. Was he in
Bill?
Bill and Ted as well? He was in Bill and Ted, wasn't he?
I think he was one of those. Yeah, I think he was in there, right? Was he in Airheads? No, I don't think he was.
I can't remember. I know I'm pretty sure he was in Bill and Ted, just like as
a movie or two, though. You're right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was a mover and shaker guy in the scene, and then he did, obviously make it as a musician with Slaughter. But anyway, so he recently came out, Dana Strum, and he said that there's crazy interest in a Slaughter movie or biopic. I mean. Now, all right, this is kind of going to back to look. Okay, let's talk about I guess the biopics or whatever. Right, Motley Crue did The Dirt.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was terrible. It was absolutely awful.
Awful.
Right?
Awful.
Def Leppard, I believe, did they one come?
Yeah, they did one. That was a long time ago, but they did one. It was pretty cheesy, but it was okay. It was.
I never saw that one. Now, but I understand. Okay, you got to make one of Motley. Listen, Motley Crue were legendary. Known for the characters in that band and how debaucherous they were and whatever. Right? It's legendary stuff. Right? So I can understand that. Def Leppard 2 has a really good story with Rick Allen, then Steve Clark and everything. So they were teens, that made it in America, when they were teenagers from Sheffield, from England. So okay, they have good stories, okay. But now we heard about Dokken, right? Don Dokken was out there saying,
"Oh, that's right, I forgot about that one." Mm-hmm.
Which like to me, all right, not real. Listen, I think if you want to put out a documentary, absolutely. I think every band should have a documentary. Any band that went platinum and had some major hits, why not? Why not put out a documentary in a band? No big deal. But it depends. Like a biopic, a fucking Slaughter. Yeah, I don't know, man, dude.
Well, when I saw that, I didn't know about this. So when I saw Matt and I just share notes about like the show topics and whatever, and I saw that come in, I said, okay, this is a juicy one. Because a couple of things. First of all, I am a Slaughter fan. They're not even a guilty pleasure. I'm a Slaughter fan, period. Right. Okay. I know I might have picked Aborted as my favorite, track of the week a few weeks ago. They released a new track today, actually, also awesome. But I am a Slaughter fan. And Slaughter came out of the ashes with the Vinnie Vincent invasion, of course, when Mark Slaughter was with them. Vinnie Vincent never did anything album-wise, sales-wise. He just had the name from Kiss. We should do a segment on him sometime. But and then Slaughter came out and they were multi-platinum. They were 2 million seller, maybe 3, I can't remember, but they were a big band. And I do remember the cover for "Stick It To You." Do you remember the album cover?
That with the
chick on the cover?
But
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
I do remember.
Look it up, everybody. You know what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm a fan of the band. So that's the first part. So I'm not here to just shit on the band because I don't like him. I like Slaughter, and I do. I like Mark Slaughter. I like in interviews. He's educated. He sounds good. He talks about the scene. He
Mhm.
accepts where he is today. But when Dana Strum came out and said, crazy interest,
Crazy
right?
interest.
First of all, go back on the Blabbermouth, um, the whatever that was posted. Look at the comments underneath it. Everybody's saying crazy interest. Really, Dana? Like, there's not crazy interest. He has to say what he's
No.
saying from the PR perspective. There is Slaughter are arguably playing to 200 people a night, 300 people, if they're playing,
Yeah.
right? Whenever they tour.
Mhm.
They hadn't have an album out since, I believe, 1996. I have some notes here to choose from. I think so.
Wow, is it that
96.
long? Wow.
It is that long. So,
Interesting.
Dana, nobody's believing that BS.
Nobody.
There's nobody has a crazy interest. Now, if they released a new album and maybe did a package tour, that would be kind of go, oh, Slaughter playing, that gets my
Sure.
interest. But
Sure.
there is nobody in the world waiting for a Slaughter biopic. Nobody. So sorry,
Nobody.
Dana, nobody's buying it. You take the Motley one, we spoke about that one. The Queen movie, which was, I guess, a biopic, was just a movie.
Yeah, it's
That
a
was
biopic too.
that was pretty good. That was
Sure.
entertaining.
Sure.
I
It's
don't know how
entertaining.
real it
Yeah.
was, but it was good.
Mhm.
The Runaways did one, the Doors did one, Johnny Cash did one. We spoke about Leopard. So I'm not a fan of biopics, period. I don't care if I
I'm
love the
not
band.
either.
Like if someone said to me there's a new Led Zeppelin biopic coming out, I said, oh, for fuck's sake. Who wants to see somebody play
I
Robert
know.
Plant from 1977? It's just, for me, no, that's for pop bands, some stupid
Yep.
bubblegum story. But first of all, I'm not interested in a Slaughter biopic, and nobody else is interested either. So I'm sorry, Dana. I like Dana. I respect him. I love the band, like the band a lot. But no, ain't buying the crazy interest for a minute.
Not at all, dude. I mean, like you said, yeah, of course. I'm sure they, like you said, he has to probably say that just to kind of pump up if they're gonna, do this biopic or.
Still not going to work because nobody,
Come
because it
on, like
doesn't.
you said, I think last year they were playing. I went. It was funny. I had my in-laws in town, and my father-in-law loves to gamble. Just it's like his like vice. He doesn't drink or nothing, so he likes to gamble. And so we went up to this casino, and I remember I used to pass it when I used to go visit Bob Nalbandian up before he passed, he moved to this town called Reading, which is about
Mhm.
3 hours from here, and there was always this casino there, and it looked pretty cool. And he was like, "Yeah, Bob used to say, oh, it's cool. I've been there, and they usually have some good, some pretty decent shows there." And then I did see when we were up there just for the weekend. I saw that there was, I think it was Quiet Riot. I wasn't there when the show was going on. I think it was the following week,
Mm.
or else I would have seen it. I would have went and seen it because it's a cool little, a place. But it was, Quiet Riot, Slaughter, and one of those other bands.
Yeah. See, I
So
would
I
go
mean,
to that. I would
yeah,
go to that.
well, they're a casino band. I mean, that's what they are. They're a casino
Yeah.
band. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, hey,
No.
if I was in a band casino band, I would love it. It's great. You do
Yeah.
weekend, gigs and your packages, and I mean, I just reminisce and celebrate, your hits and your days of MTV or whatever. That's great. But
Yeah.
come on with this crazy interest crap. Like you said, they're not even headlining over, a Quiet. I mean, Quiet Riot could. I mean, they had. I wouldn't really call that a Doc, the Frankie Banali thing, but bottom line is there's no crazy interest. I don't care what this guy
No,
says.
actually, speaking of Quiet Right, they're playing next month. They're playing about an hour from me. So, you know, uh, Quiet Right are one of those bands that I just never. I appreciate what they did, and they were the first #1 metal album,
They
Metal
weren't a
Health, and
great
all that.
band, dude. They were not.
They were not half their album, half their songs were cover bands. But that album they released with Paul Chartino, Quiet Right 3, is really, really good. But
Yeah, it is
great
good. Yeah.
production. Can't remember the producer. Was it David Prater? I can't remember, but whatever. But they're playing near me. I think next month. And first of all, get this. First of all, Quite Right today are Jizzy Pearl, Rudy Saraso, and I actually don't know the other two members.
Johnny
And
Kelly's
it's
in it. The drummer.
oh, that's right, Johnny Kelly, correct, New Jersey again. And the tickets are $60. I go, dude,
It's freaking crazy. Wow,
I am paying.
$60?
First of all,
Is it a cover
for,
band, really?
well,
Essentially, it's a
first
cover
of all,
band.
they're playing an hour away, so that rules that out because I'm not enough of
Wow.
a fan to travel an hour. No, but if they were playing local, this goes back to the band versus brand. If they were playing local and tickets were $35, I would go and see it not because I need to see the original or anything. I'm saying I'm going to see the nucleus of the band, good musicians, night out, couple of beers. So I'll look at it almost like a tribute band night out. So I'll see it like that. But if they were playing 10 minutes away from my house and it was $60, I wouldn't go and I would not pay. That's a band that are really going on their legacy to pull in $60 for a ticket. Not a hope in hell am I going to pay $60 to see that. Not a chance.
No, I mean, and like I said, look, I mean, it just like I'm just going back to Slaughter. I mean, look, they were essentially a two-hit wonder, right?
Yeah.
Is what they were. Like a lot of those bands from that time, like the White Lions and the Warrants and Saigon Kicks and Bang Tangos and Faster Pussycats. You know, they were just, it was all that. They never really hit heavy.
Never.
Like I said, they would always like it was that formula, right? They'd come out with their first single video, it was pretty hard hitting rock and tune, and they followed up with the ballad. I mean, that was just the formula back then. But like I said, they want to do a documentary. Okay, it's like you said, Mark Slaughter was in Vinnie Vincent, so he's got some background. Dana Strum, like you said, was in L.A., you know, Hollywood kind of, you know, you said connector kind of guy. The other, you know, they were based out of Vegas too. There wasn't many bands that were out of Vegas too at that point. They were one of the first ones that I can remember that were from Vegas. Tell their story. Go ahead, do an hour and a half documentary on the band if you want to do that. But this whole
documentary, I would be interested in. Biopic, absolutely not. That's the
biopics.
difference.
Like you said, I'm with you. I can't stand biopics, man.
No.
Because the acting's terrible.
They're all cheesy,
and cheesy. Like it was a Motley Crue. It's like, come on. I mean, who does anyone really want to act and be like Mark Slaughter? You think someone? I mean, how do you even do that? It's. There's no. They're not characters. No. Like we said, they were characters, right? I mean, those guys were known, you know, crazy madmen on the Sunset Strip. What is the only thing I can remember? I remember a funny thing about Slaughter was Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes started this thing with Mark Slaughter because they were both came out at the same time. They were both on MTV around '89 or so, and he was making fun of, you know, Slaughter, and he's like, "Yeah, Mark Slaughter. He's one of those guys I could see running around in a hotel room with his underwear off, drinking Coors Light." Like he made like some really dig at him and stuff. And Mark Slaughter came back at him, or they had a little beef going on, but. Bottom line is, there's not crazy interest in Slaughter. Let's stop it, Dana.
Nope.
Just like there isn't in Dokken either. Okay, Dokken's a much better band that sold a lot more records, had more hits. Yet I wouldn't want to see a biopic of them either. Once again, what would be their story? I mean, do a documentary on the band. Absolutely. There's no crazy story other than you guys didn't like each other, and then that's it. I mean, like every other freaking band. You know what I mean?
I mean, Bon Jovi just released like a 4-part. 40 years of Bon Jovi. It's on Hulu right now. I don't have Hulu, so I can't watch it, but I wait for it on YouTube. So that I would be interested in because they're gonna look at them. They're gonna look at the origins of Bon Jovi, 82, 83, South and Boy, in New Jersey, playing in the clubs in Sayreville and all that kind of thing. Obviously, they're towns that Matt and I know. But that I would be interested in because they've got old footage of playing those clubs and festivals and tournaments. I mean, part of the hair metal scene. And then, obviously when the grunge thing came out, then they came out with Keep Your Faith and they huge in Europe. So that would be very interesting to me. But if somebody's going to play Bon Jovi and pretend to be him with some stupid wig on, because that's what you're going to see in a biopic, it's just ridiculous. I don't care who the band is. It's ridiculous.
If you're going to do a biopic, like you said, you'd have to do it something like what Queen did.
Yeah,
you have to be a major production. You'd have to get some good actors, but that was I saw the Queen one. Yeah,
that's decent.
It was entertaining.
Pretty good.
I guess I don't know if the story. I don't really care. It's not my deal. If the band approved of it, okay, then I guess the story's real enough. But it was entertaining. They had good acting in it. You got to do it like that. Like I said, the dirt was just terrible. Machine Gun
This was
Kelly.
awful.
I mean, come on, man. Like,
but the dirt is so bad. I'm going to go back. It's so bad. I'm going to go back and take another look at it. It's so bad. Like I saw it the first time. I know, but sometimes you got to go back and just because it's like so shit you can't like Sharknado.
I know
like
what you're saying. Yeah,
you can't not watch it. Because it's so bad.
It's so bad. I know. Well, the thing is, I remember watching it. I watched it actually with Bob, with now Bandy in here, and I remember being. I felt kind of bad because I think it was just so bad, and I think he may have already seen it. I think he saw it once, and we just watched it again. But I was talking through it the whole time because of how bad it was. We were having some beers. I'm just like, oh look, come on! I just
and it's never right. The timelines are always off, and when the timelines are off when the touring was off or this album was released, and it's always wrong. But and then we as fans then get mad because we think we know our shit, and then something is off, and everyone's online going, that didn't happen, and John Corabi never said that or whatever. So yeah. So Dana, God bless you, but not buying it.
Well, not only that, would you have? Look, everyone knows Tommy Lee, right? Let's just go through that just quickly. Tommy Lee. It's not like the guy was just sort of in the background and no one knew what he sounded like or looked like.
Sure.
Everyone knows what he's about. He was always in the press, especially even in the '90s with the Pamela Anderson stuff. Even when Motley Crue really wasn't around or not doing much, everyone knows Vince Neil. His voice and his whatever. I mean, Mick Mars, okay, he just the way he looked, was
Less
kind
so,
of,
but yeah.
a little less than him. But and then Nikki Sixx obviously is a big guy. He's got a radio show for years. These guys have always been in front of the camera. It's like if you took like Poison, it's the same thing. At least with Bret Michaels and Ricky Rocket, these guys were in this. You saw them. Like Queen's a little different, right? Freddie Mercury was maybe the one guy you saw, but you didn't see too much of Brian May and Roger Taylor and
Brian Deacon, no.
Yeah. So you could just get some actors to play them. You would think that, but we already knew what the Motley Crue guys were like, and the people who played them, it was just god awful. Machine Gun Kelly playing Tom. That's your Tommy Lee. That's your actor. Come on, these biopics are dumb, and it's even dumber to think there's going to be one of Mark Slaughter and Dokken and so forth.
And I'm surprised that Don Dokken and I'm guessing Don because he owns the name. I'm guessing, but like allowing being excited by this. Like Don Dokken is getting excited, but and you can be absolutely damn sure that when the Slaughter one comes out, I'm going to watch it. When the Dokken one comes out, I'm going to watch it. And then it's going to get slaughtered, pardon the pun, online by everybody. There's nobody going to say, wow, they really captured the essence of the band. Nobody's going to say that. So why put out an inferior product, Don, in the first place when you know it's just going to get ripped to shreds? You released a good album recently. I think Don Dokken's new album is really, really good. The vocals, look, we get that. There's no point in going down that avenue, but it's a good album. Just keep going and do what you're doing. If that's your last one, then go out on a high. Don't release a good album and then release a shitty biopic a year from now and then get laughed at, because that's what's going to happen.
Well, I think Don's got thick skin for one, and I think two,
he does. I like Don.
I think two. Look, if he really cared, he wouldn't be going out playing shows right now. So he don't care. Listen, if someone wants to come in, offer him a buy. Listen, if you're in the shoes of a Dokken, I'm not buying the Slaughter. I'm just not buying it. I don't think there's crazy interest. I don't think there's people offering a lot of money for it. I could see some, Dokken. There are a lot of hardcore, Dokken fans, and so I could maybe see someone going, I really want to do one. Look, if someone came and said they're going to do it, and you're going to get paid a lot of money again. And also, look, you've got now, I mean, you know how it is. All these musicians like to think they're bigger than they really are. So in Don's world, in his mind, I'm sure he thinks he's as big as Motley Crue, even though they're not. So he wants to think
never
that.
were.
So never were. Never will be.
Never were.
So I think if someone does come and offer him that, he's thinking like, well, yeah, I'll do it. Of course, Motley Crue did it. We're as big as them. Sure, yeah, we'll do it. I know. Like I said, I'm not saying if I was in that situation, I would say, no, don't do it. Like I was telling you before, right? There's no integrity anymore in entertainment. There's none. It's just whatever's going to pay up, then they'll then give it to me and go do what you want. So it's, So I mean.
And just FYI on Don, I met Don Dokken backstage a couple of years ago when Richie actually from Focus on Metal had a backstage pass and he couldn't get down for, I can't remember the reason, but so I ended up going back to meet Don backstage, and I swear to God, that guy could not have been more accommodating. So I walked in, some Joe Schmo had a Deep Purple and Rock t-shirt, walked in, he's looking at me going, who's this guy? And I said, hey, my name is Tom. Whatever, showed him the pass, whatever, started talking about the guys from the Classic Metal Show, obviously, Neely's personal friends, whatever.
Well, it's smart to bring them up then.
100% brought that up. That broke the ice. But I met all the bands. I met all the band members, and they were all taking photographs and have a beer. Awesome. And nice. I was with Don, and he said, hey, give me a second, because he had like his gear on. He was taking off and pulling out the cables, and he said, come back again. What's your name again? We sat down for 10 minutes, gave me all the time I needed. I had a bit of shit to sign. So Don was I know Don gets some bad press sometimes, but the day I met him, he was just incredible. So tip of the hat to Mr. Dokken.
Yeah, I would actually love to see a Dokken documentary. That would be great, and I hope someone does do that on the band.
I'd be all over that.
Like I said, I'll watch a documentary on any band, for the most part. I would say any band, but most bands, if they have a decent enough history, they put out a good song or two. Not even really a great album, but if they have if they're one or two hit wonder and they have a decent album and they have some, decent story to them, I would love to see any documentary.
Yeah,
me too. It doesn't have to be about metal either. I like just watching rock docs or just, just bands in general that were popular.
I watched the Robbie Williams documentary on Netflix a couple of weeks ago, and I have zero interest in Robbie Williams' music, but he's got a fascinating backstory as a young kid, growing up in one of these boy bands, and he had huge addiction problems, and he's still kind of fucked up today, to be honest. But he's an honest guy. He opens it up. He just says they look back on interviews with him when he was like 16 or 17, and he was playing in Wembley Arena and shit. Wow. And then he'd stop on his face and he says, "Look at my face right there." He said, "You can just see the trepidation in his eyes." He was analyzing himself 30 years in the future. So zero interest in him, to be honest, and zero interest in the band. But the documentary was fascinating. So yeah, but to your point, if it's a good George Michael was another good one. I kind of like it, but George Michael
that stuff, sure.
That was actually quite good. So if everybody likes the story, you don't have to be a rock or metal story. No. We just prefer if it was, but if it's not, then if it's good, it's good. Hey, that's what streaming is for. If you don't like it, you go, we're done.
Exactly.
You just turn it off.
That's the good thing about it. Exactly. You don't have to go out and invest money.
Nope.
A lot of money into have this.
No, the days of buying VHS videos, or then it went to CDs, or DVDs, like spending $25 or whatever. No, those days are just in the past.
They are pretty much done. I know. I mean,
yeah,
for better or for worse, exactly.